On Tuesday, Americans who have not voted early or by mail will head to the polls. And the winner of the Electoral College, not the popular vote, will become the 47th President of the United States. The history behind this method is controversial, with its roots tied to slavery and the consequences still impacting elections today. Joining us now is Wilfred U. Coddington III, a professor of constitutional law at Cardozo School of Law in New York City, and he also co-authored The People's Constitution, 200 Years, 27 Amendments, and the Promise of a More Perfect Union. Professor, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Let's begin with a refresher. What is the Electoral College and how does it work?
Great, and thanks for having me, Karen. It's nice to be here. So the Electoral College is a mechanism in the Constitution. We use it to elect the president. It's an indirect method of electing the president, so we don't use the popular vote for the presidency as we do for every other election in the country. Instead, what we do is we vote for these fleeting characters called electors who hold their job for one day only. And we vote for them, and they in turn vote for the president. The way that we determine how many electors there are, each state gets two as a foundation for the number of senators that they have. And then they get additional ones, one additional one for each member of Congress.
So when our country was founded, though, why was this method chosen as the way to elect a president?
Sure, there are a couple of reasons, but so the first reason was they said a direct election would be problematic because information didn't travel well, people weren't very well educated, and so you chose these people who were supposed to be knowledgeable and independent. And so they were supposed to have a better understanding of what the presidency needed and who would be a good candidate. That's one reason you often hear that. Another reason, though, is the idea of race, right? And so we have language in the Constitutional Convention where you have members, delegates from the South who specifically said they don't want a direct election. And the reason why they didn't want a direct election is because a large portion of their population were slaves. And slaves, of course, were property in their mind, and they were also non-voting. And so because they didn't have, because they had this large number of non-voting people, they knew that in time they would always be outvoted. So the Electoral College is this way that sort of uses an indirect system to elect the president. It sort of takes aside the slave population, and in fact, what it does is it enhances the slave, it enhances the South's vote because of the slave population. So there was another provision of the Constitution called the 3/5 Compromise, and basically what it said was, we are going to count all white people for purposes of your representation in Congress and the Electoral College, and then we're going to count 60% of all your slaves. And as you figure, 95% of Black people were living in the South. Most of them were slaves, and none of them were voting. And so 60% of them were still counting towards the population, not voting, but still enhancing the electoral power of members, the states from the South.
And so that is the flaw in the system as it was originally established.
That's correct.
Sure. So the evolution of the Electoral College has been defined by several periods in history. You talked about the beginning, but let's continue with the Civil War.
Yeah, so we start with the beginning. The South gets 60% of all Black people, even though they contribute none. That's how we start. We get to the Civil War, and the Civil War was obviously about abolishing slavery. We get the 13th Amendment. And what that does is it nullifies the 3/5 Compromise. So now you have this weird sort of period, a short period, where 5/5 of Black people are counted in the South, even though they still don't vote. Because before you got the 15th Amendment, which allowed Black men to vote, you had the 13th Amendment, which freed Black people. So you kind of get a boost, a bigger boost for the short period. Then we pass the 15th Amendment, and then ostensibly Black people are supposed to be voting, right? And so now they are able to elect candidates of their own choice. And in fact, you see this in the South. You see members of Congress and senators who are Black coming from the South during this period. So that's the sort of second period where you actually get participation of Black people. But then that Reconstruction, that's the period after Civil War, lasts only so long, about 10 or 15 years. After that, we go into that dark period of about 80, 85 years of Jim Crow, where again, now what we have is the South just disenfranchising most of its Black population. And so they are getting the benefit of having Black people there. So it increases the number of electors that they get, electoral votes, but those Black people are not contributing to the vote. They're unable to. And so now they're getting 5/5 again, right? They're getting extra votes for disenfranchising Black people. And we go like that basically until we get the Voting Rights Act in 1965. And that's when you actually get Black people voting fully as participants in the democracy and able to vote for their electors.
So, Professor, what's the impact of the Electoral College on present elections? What's the upside? What's the downside?
So I can't tell you an upside. I wish I could, but I can't. But the downside is still clear, right? And so I'm going to tie it back to this whole issue where we started, which was that all of the slaves who were brought in from Africa most of them were in the South. And as a consequence, 60% or more of Black people still live in the South, right? And so when you have this system where you have an indirect election, plus this mechanism, which is a winner take all. So if you win more votes than your next closest competitor, you win all of the electors. What that does is it diminishes the power of Black voters in the South because there's more voters, white voters, who vote against the interest of Black people. And so in a direct system, every vote would matter. We would just count all these up irrespective of where you are, wherever you are in the country. But in this system, because Black people or the preferred candidates of Black people in the South will not win these states, their votes are functionally wasted. They don't mean anything in the larger election, and all those electoral votes are going to go to whoever they don't prefer.
Now, Professor, a 2020 Pew Research study found that more than half of adults, about 58%, think that the candidate who wins the popular vote should win the election. So what would it take to eliminate the Electoral College, and when was the last time this was really seriously under consideration, if at all? Sure.
So that's varies a little bit. It goes up even higher. A recent one said 65. So we have a lot of support for getting rid of the Electoral College. It varies a little bit. In fact, in the 1969-1970, 80% of Americans said they want to get rid of it. To get rid of the Electoral College, you need to you need to amend the Constitution. And to amend the Constitution, you need a vote of 2/3 of each House of Congress, plus the support of 3/4 of the state legislators. That's a really high hurdle to hit. But back in that time, when 80% of Americans in 1969-1970, when they supported getting rid of the Electoral College, the House of Representatives actually met that high threshold. And it looked like you could get a new amendment to the Constitution, but then the Senate held it up. They filibustered it. And in fact, it was filibustered by Strom Thurmond and a bunch of Southern segregationists because of the exact reason that I explained. They knew that it was in the interest of Southern segregationists and against the interest of Black people to keep the system as it was.
Professor Codrington, thank you for joining us to explain this very complex issue for us. We appreciate your time and your wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.